The night side of space was calm, dark, and silent. Nothing moved except a single alien patrol ship drifting through a quiet region between star routes. The crew had expected a boring shift, routine scans, empty readings, and long hours of silence. But that peace ended in 1 second. A loud alarm cut through the bridge. The scanner officer, a young alien named Tira, leaned forward in shock. "Commander, we are picking up something. A strong signal." Commander Relos turned in his chair. "What kind of signal?" Tira's hands shook as she increased the scan. "Powerful. Very powerful. I have never seen this type of energy reading." The entire crew looked at their screens. The signal was huge, heavy, and unnatural, like the heart of a star beating inside a machine. "It looks like a warship," Tira whispered. "But the size, the energy output, it's impossible." The crew members exchanged nervous glances. Warships were common in the galaxy. Most species had fleets, weapons, and defenses. But this signal was far beyond anything any known civilization could build. Commander Relos stood up slowly. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the tension. "All stations," he ordered, "go silent. Slow approach. No sudden moves." The engines faded to a soft hum as the patrol ship drifted closer. Every second the signal grew stronger. It felt like a mountain rising in front of them, bigger and bigger until it swallowed the scanner readings. The navigator swallowed hard. "Commander, if this is a ship, it is the largest one ever recorded." Another officer whispered, "Or maybe it's a trap. It could be a new enemy weapon." Tira shook her head. "No weapon has this type of energy field." "What if it's a ghost ship?" someone said. "Something old, something cursed?" The commander raised a hand. "Quiet." They continued forward, hearts pounding in their chests. Then the fog of drifting cosmic dust began to thin. The black clouds slowly parted. And through the mist, something enormous appeared. The crew stared and forgot to breathe. A massive shadow sat in the void, silent and terrifying. Its armor was sharp and dark, absorbing all light around it. Long lines of glowing engines pulsed like the heartbeat of a giant creature. Countless weapon ports covered the hull, missile bays, energy cannons, rail systems, and strange weapons the aliens could not even identify. It was not a ship. It was a monster made of metal. Someone on the bridge spoke in a trembling voice. "What kind of monster built this?" Commander Relos felt his throat tighten. "Run a full Iden code scan," he ordered. Tira's fingers flew across the controls. The system processed the data, tried to match the design, and failed. It scanned again, and again, until finally, a single line of text appeared on the display. The crew leaned in. One officer gasped. "No, that can't be right." Another whispered, "This is impossible." Tira read the words out loud, her voice barely a whisper. "Origin, Human Alliance." The entire bridge went silent. Everyone knew the stories. Humans, the strange species from the far edge of the galaxy. Humans, the unpredictable race that fought like demons when threatened. Humans, the survivors who never surrendered even when outnumbered. But humans were also small. Weak. A minor civilization. At least, that was what everyone believed. And yet here, floating in front of the patrol ship, was proof that everything they knew was wrong. "This can't be a human ship," an officer said, shaking his head in denial. "It's too big. Too powerful." Another replied, "No race builds something like this unless they are preparing for something dangerous." Commander Relos felt a chill run down his spine. He stepped closer to the main screen, studying the gigantic warship. Its dark metal hull seemed to stare back at them, cold, silent, and waiting. "This is a battleship," he said. "But not just any battleship. This is a superweapon." The crew listened, fear growing in their eyes. "Commander," Tira whispered, "why would humans build something this strong?" Relos did not answer immediately. He watched the ship's engines pulse like glowing stars. This was not a defensive vessel. This was a ship meant to lead armies. A ship meant for war. A ship meant to change the balance of the entire galaxy. Finally he exhaled. "If humans built this," he said softly, "they are preparing for something big." The navigator turned pale. "But prepare for what?" The commander slowly lowered himself back into his chair. His voice was low, heavy, and full of worry. "If this ship is here," he said, "war is coming." The crew froze. Every member of the patrol ship felt the same cold fear. Something massive, something unexpected, something deadly was moving in the galaxy. And the humans, strange, dangerous, unpredictable humans, were at the center of it. Silence covered the alien patrol ship like a heavy blanket. Every crew member stared at the massive human battleship drifting in the fog of space. It did not move. It did not send any signal. It only floated there, cold, dark, and impossibly strong. Commander Relos kept his eyes locked on the huge shape outside. Maintain distance. No sudden actions. Yes, Commander, the crew answered softly. They tried to breathe normally, but each breath was tight. The ship felt like a sleeping giant. One wrong move could wake it, and no one wanted to know what it would do if it woke angry. Tira scanned again. Her voice shook. Commander, the energy levels on that ship are rising. Very slowly, but rising. Relos turned sharply. Rising? The ship is powering up. I think so. The bridge lights dimmed for a moment as the alien ship increased power to its sensors. Lines of data scrolled across the screens. Engine cycle detected. Weapon core charging. External shields activating. The battleship was waking. The navigator whispered, "Should we flee? We are small. We cannot fight this." Relos shook his head firmly. No. If we turn and run, they may think we are a threat. But if we stay... We stay, Relos repeated. For now. The alien crew stayed frozen as they watched the massive human ship slowly light up. Bright, cold blue lines began to glow along its armor. Its engines hummed softly like thunder far away. One massive cannon on the underside rotated slightly, aligning itself with the stars. The crew swallowed hard. "It's alive," someone whispered. Then something shocking happened. A soft chime echoed through the bridge of the alien patrol ship. Incoming transmission. Source, human battleship. Every alien on the bridge froze. Tira's voice was barely a breath. "Commander, they are contacting us." Relos stood tall even though his heart beat like a drum. "Open the channel." A screen blinked. Static flickered. For 3 long seconds, nothing. Then the image sharpened, and a human face appeared. A man. Pale skin. Dark eyes. Calm expression. Wearing a black uniform with the symbol of the Human Alliance. He looked powerful, confident, and not afraid at all. The human spoke in a steady voice. "Unknown vessel. Identify yourself." The alien crew looked at their commander, terrified. This was the first time any of them had spoken directly to a human officer. Relos forced his voice to stay steady. "This is Commander Relos of the patrol ship Vora 17. We are on routine scan duty. We mean no harm." The human studied him for a moment, expression unreadable. Then he nodded. "You have entered a restricted zone," he said calmly. Relos blinked. "Restricted? By who?" A faint smile touched the human's face. Not friendly. More like someone who knew something terrible. "By us." Those 2 words made the alien crew stiffen in fear. The human continued, "Our battleship is stationed here as part of a containment operation." "Containment?" Relos repeated. "Containment of what?" The human lowered his voice. "A new threat. Something dangerous is coming. Something we cannot allow to spread." The aliens exchanged worried looks. "A threat? Dangerous enough for humans to build a ship like this?" Relos asked carefully, "Is it an enemy fleet?" "No," the human replied. "Something worse." Before he could explain, alarms began flashing on both ships. Tira gasped. "Commander." Multiple contacts appearing behind us. The patrol ship shook as scanners overloaded with new signals. Fast, sharp, deadly signatures. The human looked off-screen for a moment. His face hardened. "They found us." Relos spun around. "Who found us? What are those ships?" The human captain returned his gaze, calm but deadly serious. "A war is starting. A war your people do not understand." Suddenly, the space behind the alien patrol ship tore open. Dark shapes slipped out of hyperspace, sleek, wicked ships with burning red engines and claw-like wings. 10 of them. Then 20. Then more. The alien crew screamed. "Enemy ships approaching." Tira shouted. "They're surrounding us." The human battleship did not move. It simply floated, waiting. Relos yelled, "Human captain. We need help. They will destroy us." The human captain finally spoke, his voice suddenly sharp and commanding. "Move behind us. Now." Relos hesitated only 1 second. Then he shouted, "Do it. Maximum speed." The alien patrol ship turned sharply, engines roaring as they rushed toward the shadow of the massive human battleship. The enemy ships fired red beams of light, but the humans were already reacting. The giant battleship powered fully on. Lights exploded across its surface. Weapons snapped into position. Its core glowed like a newborn star. The human captain spoke one last time. "Stay behind our shield. And watch." The alien ship slipped behind the enormous battleship just as the first enemy shots hit. The human ship's shield flared bright blue, and absorbed everything. The alien crew stared in awe. It's not even taking damage," someone whispered. The human captain gave a quiet command off-screen. Then the battleship moved. It turned with slow, terrifying confidence, like a predator that finally sees its prey. Cannons unfolded. Missile bays opened. A massive railgun aligned perfectly with the enemy fleet. Relos whispered, "This ship was not built to defend." Tira nodded weakly. "It was built to end wars." The human captain's voice echoed through the bridge one last time. Weapons online. Firing sequence starting. And then, the human battleship released its first shot. A beam of pure white energy erupted from the bow, bright enough to burn across the stars. The enemy ships did not stand a chance. The beam from the human battleship tore across space like a line of living light. It moved too fast to follow, too bright to look at. The alien crew watched with wide, shaking eyes as the white energy shot slammed into the center of the enemy fleet. There was no explosion. For one silent moment, the enemy ships simply froze. Then they vanished. A burst of white fire swallowed 10 enemy vessels at once. Their armor melted like wax. Their engines broke apart. Their red lights faded into nothing. When the energy beam ended, the space where the enemy fleet stood was now empty. Tira covered her mouth. "They're gone. All of them." The navigator whispered, "I didn't think that kind of power was possible." But the battle wasn't over. More enemy ships arrived. Bigger ones, armored ones, ships built for war. They came in waves, dozens at a time, surrounding the human battleship. The alien patrol ship trembled as it hid behind the gigantic human vessel, protected by its enormous shield. But the humans did not seem afraid. Commander Relos stared in disbelief. "Their ship is outnumbered 50 to 1, yet they are not moving." Tira adjusted the scanners. "Commander, I don't think they see this as danger. The human ship is analyzing the enemy patterns, predicting their moves." Relos shook his head. "No ship can do that." Tira stared at her screen. "This one can." The enemy ships opened fire. Red beams and missiles flooded the space, filling it with deadly light. And the human battleship finally moved. Not fast. Not desperate. Not scared. It glided forward with slow, deadly purpose, like a beast waking from centuries of sleep. Its shield flashed blue as enemy fire hit, but nothing broke through. Not a scratch. Not even a flicker. The human captain appeared again on the alien patrol ship's screen. He looked calm, almost bored. "You are safe," he said. "Stay behind us." Relos stepped forward. "Captain, who are these attackers? Why are they here?" The human didn't answer immediately. He watched something off-screen, probably the battle data, maybe commands from his officers. Finally he spoke. "They call themselves the Draxer Dominion." Tira flinched. "The Draxer? The ghosts of the Outer Rim? But they were destroyed centuries ago." The human captain shook his head. "They were never destroyed. Only sleeping. They are awake now." Relos swallowed hard. "Why?" The human's voice dropped low. "Because they sense weakness in the galaxy. Civilizations fighting each other. Borders breaking. Peace failing." He turned his head slightly, eyes narrowing. "They believe this is the perfect moment to conquer everything." The alien crew felt a heavy chill spread through the room. "But why you?" Relos asked. "Why did humans come here?" The human captain looked directly at him. "Because humans don't wait for the enemy to knock. We go to the enemy first." Another massive blast rocked the battlefield. The human battleship fired a new weapon, dozens of small, glowing missiles that flew silently, leaving trails of blue light behind them. When they reached the enemy fleet, they did not explode. They unfolded, becoming nets of pure energy, wrapping enemy ships, disabling engines, and dragging vessels into the path of the main cannon. Tira gasped. "It's like they're hurting them." Relos whispered, "Humans, they fight like no one else." On the screen the human captain spoke again. "We did not come here to start a war. We came to stop one." Relos leaned closer. "But this looks like the start of something much bigger." The human nodded slowly. "It is." A new alarm beeped on the alien ship. Tira's face turned pale. "Commander, more signatures behind the Draxer fleet. Bigger ones." Relos turned to the human captain. "Your ship cannot fight endlessly. You need reinforcements." But the human only smiled faintly. Reinforcements. He tapped something off-screen. A moment later, the stars behind the human battleship warped, turned, and tore open. A second giant battleship emerged. Then a third. Then a fourth. All human. All massive. All glowing with terrifying power. Tira screamed, "By the stars, how many did the humans build?" The human captain answered calmly, "Enough." The new ships formed a massive defensive line around the alien patrol vessel, shielding it completely. Their weapons powered up, targeting the growing Draxer fleet. The human captain spoke again, softer this time. "Commander Relos, you saw our power. You saw what we fight. Now listen carefully." Relos nodded slowly. "I'm listening." The captain's voice grew dark. "The war that is coming will not spare anyone. Not your world, not our world, not any world." His eyes were empty of fear, filled only with cold certainty. "Tell your leaders. The galaxy must choose. Stand with humanity, or fall to the Draxer." A violent explosion erupted behind the enemy fleet. The humans had begun their second strike. The screen flickered. Before closing the channel, the human captain spoke one final line. "This is our warning. We will hold the line, but not forever." Then the transmission ended. The alien bridge fell silent. Only the sound of distant explosions and the hum of human battleships filled the void outside. Commander Relos exhaled slowly. He finally understood. This was not just about humans. This was not just about one war. This was the beginning of something far larger, far darker. The unexpected war had begun. The battlefield shook with flashing light as the 4 human battleships formed a massive line of steel and energy. Their shields glowed bright blue. Their weapons burned with white fire. And behind them, the alien patrol ship hid like a small animal behind giant guardians. But the battle was far from over. Commander Relos stood frozen on the bridge, trying to understand the scale of the situation. He stared at the massive human warships, each one big enough to dwarf their entire civilization's flagship. "What have the humans become?" the navigator whispered, voice thin with fear. But Tira, the scanner officer, wasn't looking at the humans. Her eyes were locked on the enemy fleet ahead. "Commander, the Draxer ships are changing." Relos turned. "Changing? What do you mean?" Tira zoomed in the scanners. The screen flickered before stabilizing. Every alien on the bridge stared in horror. The Draxer ships were growing. Their dark metal hulls twisted and expanded as if alive. Strange red veins pulsed across their bodies. Their engines glowed hotter and hotter, filling space with crimson smoke-like energy. Armor plates shifted, forming sharper, more jagged shapes. The navigator stepped back. "That's unnatural." Relos felt his heart freeze. "They're not just ships. They're alive." The human captain reappeared on their screen, this time with urgency in his eyes. "Commander Relos, pull back. The Draxer are activating their prime cores." Relos frowned. "Prime cores? What are those?" The human captain took a slow, grim breath. "Their ships are half organic, half machine, created from living war creatures. When they activate their prime cores, they evolve into stronger forms." Tira's voice shook. "Evolve? During battle?" The human nodded. "Yes. They adapt to enemy fire. They grow stronger the longer they fight." Relos stared at the screen. A cold realization hit him. "So you can't win a long battle against them." The human captain remained silent for a moment. Then he said quietly, "We never planned to survive a long battle." The bridge fell silent. Before anyone could react, the Draxer ships finished their transformation. Their engines released a blast of red energy that shook the entire region. A low, deep roar echoed across space, like thousands of beasts screaming at once. And then, they charged. Not like ships. Like predators. Red lightning burst from their weapons, ripping through space toward the human battleships. The impact shook even the huge vessels. Their shields flared bright and dimmed under the constant assault. Tira shouted, "Commander, the human shields are weakening." Relos clenched his fists. "How can the humans fight something like this?" On the screen, the human captain finally answered. "Together." He gave an order off-screen. Huge metallic arms unfolded from the sides of the human battleship. The alien crew gasped as those arms connected with the shields of the other 3 human ships, linking all 4 into one enormous barrier. Their blue light merged, becoming brighter, stronger, thicker. Tira gasped. "They combined their shields." Relos whispered, "They're creating a single massive defense." The human captain confirmed it. "We're forming a unified wall." The Draxer cannot break it quickly. A heavy explosion hit the barrier, shaking both ships. Relos stumbled but caught himself. He looked at the human on the screen. How long can you hold? The captain didn't answer. Tira looked at her scanner, eyes widening. Commander, the Draxer ships are charging something. Something huge. Relos spun toward her. How huge? Tira swallowed. Bigger than anything they fired before. This could break the combined shield. Relos turned slowly to the human captain. Captain, if that shot destroys your shield, we all die. The human captain finally met his eyes. Then we will not let it fire. Behind him, the human crew moved faster. Red warning lights blinked. Voices called out position reports. The battleship engines roared with deep thunder. The human captain spoke firmly. Prepare the Omega Lance. The alien bridge fell silent. Relos felt every muscle in his body tense. He had never heard of such a weapon, but the human said it with fear and respect. Captain, Relos said softly, what is the Omega Lance? The human didn't smile. Didn't blink. Didn't show pride. Only seriousness. A weapon we hoped we would never use. The ship began to glow. White cracks of pure energy ran along the armor. The engines pulsed brighter and brighter, making the stars flicker. Tira whispered, they're overcharging their reactor. Relos finished the sentence for her. At the risk of destroying themselves. A deep hum filled space. The Omega Lance cannon unfolded from the front of the lead human battleship, bigger than any weapon the aliens had ever seen. It extended forward like the spine of a god. The human captain looked at Relos one last time. When the Omega Lance fires, you run. Tell your people the truth. Relos shook his head. But what about you? The human's voice softened. Someone has to hold the line. Then the channel closed. The enemy fleet finished charging. Red lightning exploded from their formation. The human battleships fired the Omega Lance. And the entire region of space turned white. The universe went silent. For one impossible moment, there was no sound, no movement, no color, only endless white light filling everything. Commander Relos felt his body freeze. The alien patrol ship trembled as if caught in the breath of a dying star. Tira shielded her eyes. Commander, what are we seeing? Is this the Omega Lance? Relos didn't answer. He couldn't. The light was too bright, too powerful, too overwhelming. It felt like staring into the heart of creation, or the end of it. Slowly, painfully, the white faded. Shapes returned. Colors returned. Space returned. And when the alien crew finally saw the battlefield again, they gasped together. The enemy fleet, the mighty, terrifying, evolving Draxer ships, were gone. Not destroyed. Not broken. Not burning. Gone. Vaporized into nothingness. Erased clean from reality. Tira trembled in her seat. I've never seen anything so powerful. Relos leaned forward, staring in disbelief. That wasn't a weapon. That was a starborn judgment. The alien patrol ship scanned the area, but there was no enemy trace. Only drifting dust and fading heat. But then, a soft alarm beeped. The shield officer's voice cracked. Commander, the human battleship is losing power. Relos snapped his head toward the display. The once brilliant human vessel now flickered weakly. Its glowing armor dimmed and cracked. The energy lines across its hull faded to a dull gray. Smoke and sparks drifted from multiple sections. Even from far away, it looked wounded, dying. Tira whispered, they used everything they had. The other 3 human battleships weren't much better. Their shields were down. Their engines were flickering. One battleship had a massive hole blown through its side, slowly venting atmosphere into space. Relos felt a deep ache in his chest. They sacrificed their strength to save us. A faint transmission crackled into the alien bridge. Distorted. Weak. Almost too quiet to hear. It was the human captain. Commander. Relos, do you copy? Tira answered quickly. We hear you. Captain, your ship is damaged. Static buzzed. His voice was barely holding together. Omega Lance drained our core. Draxer, more coming? Relos froze. More? More enemy ships. The human captain coughed, a rough, painful sound. Yes, the ones you saw were only scouts. The alien bridge fell silent, cold, terrified silence. Tira shook her head. Scouts? But those ships were bigger than our dreadnoughts. The human captain's voice dropped lower, like a dying heartbeat. The real Draxer fleet is still hidden inside the void systems. Relos stepped closer to the screen. Captain, what do we do? Your ships can barely move. A long pause. Then in a voice filled with iron will. We fight. Relos slammed a fist against the console. How? You have nothing left. Another cough. More static. We are human. We fight with whatever we have, even if it is only our lives. Tira wiped tears from her eyes. She had never heard such determination, so quiet, so honest, so terrifying. The human continued. Relay our message. Tell your worlds. Tell every world. Relos swallowed. Tell them what? The human captain's voice strengthened for a moment. One last surge of courage. Humanity is holding the line. A flash of sparks exploded behind him on the screen. Crew members were running, shouting. The bridge lights flickered. But we cannot hold alone. The alien patrol ship shook as new signals blinked on Tira's scanner. Commander, new signatures approaching. Far side of the field. Red marks appeared. Dozens. Then hundreds. Then more. Relos whispered the truth none of them wanted to say. The real Draxar fleet. The human captain forced out one last sentence. Quiet but unbreakable. Run, Relos. What? Warn them. Tell them humans did not bow to the dark. His image flickered. Tell them we stood. And then the transmission died. The alien bridge fell into stunned silence. No one breathed. No one spoke. Then a deep rumble echoed across the region. The Draxar main fleet emerged from hyperspace. Massive, monstrous war beasts of metal and flesh, each one bigger than a moon. The alien patrol ship was a tiny insect before lions. Tira broke the silence. Commander, we have to leave, or we die. Relos looked out the window one last time. At the 4 human battleships, broken, burning, barely alive. At the Draxar fleet, rising from the void like a sea of demons. And he understood. The humans were not retreating. They were ready to die standing. Relos whispered, voice shaking. I will warn them. I promise. He raised his hand. Navigation, prepare jump drive. Full power. The patrol ship engines roared. The last thing they saw before jumping to safety was the lead human battleship turning toward the enemy, guns broken, hull cracked, but spirit unbroken. A single dying giant, facing a sea of monsters, and charging straight at them. Approaching doom. In that lonely space, only 4 human battleships remained. Wounded, dying, but still standing. Captain Arlen of the HSS Valiant leaned against his flickering console. Smoke filled the bridge. Sparks rained from torn wires above him. Half the crew were injured, but everyone still held their positions. The ship groaned like a wounded animal. Status, Arlen said, voice rough, breath weak. His officer replied, shields, 0. Hull 30%. Engines, unstable. Weapons, he hesitated. Most are gone, sir. Arlen nodded slowly. Enough to hurt them? The officer swallowed. Maybe. That was enough. Arlen stared at the massive shapes rising in the distance. Monstrous Draxar warships emerging like shadows from another universe. Their bodies twisted with alien armor and living tissue. Their weapons glowed like hungry eyes. Normally, even one of these creatures could destroy a fleet. Now hundreds filled the void. Arlen wiped blood from his forehead and whispered to himself. Humanity stands. Across the human ships. The crew knew the truth. No reinforcements. No hope. No chance of survival. But no one ran. No one begged. No one froze in fear. Humans, even when terrified, could become something else. Something dangerous, something stronger. Something the galaxy never understood. Incoming transmission from Draxar Command. Arlen raised an eyebrow. Put it through. A deep, sickening voice echoed across all human bridges. Cold. Mocking. Certain. Human vessels, you are broken. You are alone. Surrender and your end will be painless. The humans said nothing. The Draxar continued, amused. Your weapon was powerful, but foolish. Now you cannot defend yourselves. Another pause. You fought well. But your death is here. Arlen exhaled slowly, then reached forward and muted the channel. He didn't bother replying. The enemy already knew the answer. All ships. Arlen spoke through the fleet-wide comms. His voice was steady, clear, unshaken. Prepare for final engagement. Across the human vessels, crews tightened their straps. Pilots straightened in their seats. Engineers locked in emergency coolant systems. Medics tied their bandages and returned to stations. No fear. Only resolve. Arlen continued. Weapons that still work, use them. Engines, push them. Shields, ignore them. Today we hold the line as long as we can. He paused. And every second we win is a second for the galaxy to wake up. The humans nodded in silence. The Draxer made the first move. A beam of black energy shot from the lead enemy ship, thick, heavy, filled with a howl that seemed alive. It struck the HSS Valor directly. The human ship shook violently. Hull plates shattered. A large chunk tore away, spinning into space like burning debris. But the ship did not fall. The Valor aimed its only working cannon, and fired. A small blue blast struck the Draxer attacker. It didn't break through the armor, but it left a scar. A small scar. Against a monster. But it was enough to make the creature shriek in anger. Then the second Draxer ship opened fire. A wave of green plasma hit the HSS Horizon. The bridge lights dimmed. Consoles exploded. But the ship held formation, refusing to drift away. Humans always held formation. Arlen shouted. All ships charge engines. Full speed. Straight at them. His officer stared at him. Sir, that's suicide. Arlen nodded. Yes. The engines roared to life, shaking the ship like thunder. Let's make it worth something. The 4 human battleships surged forward. Not running. Not hiding. Not slowing. Charging. Charging at a fleet big enough to erase star systems. The Draxer ships scattered for a moment, confused. They had seen bravery, yes. They had seen resistance. But they had never seen this. 4 half-dead ships charging in armada as if they were the predators. As if humans feared nothing. The first collision came fast. The HSS Horizon rammed its bow into a smaller Draxer cruiser. The metal screamed. The enemy's organic hull tore open like flesh. Energy cells ruptured. A second later. Boom. Both ships exploded in a blinding blast. The Horizon was gone. But so was the enemy cruiser. 1 human ship. 1 monster. A fair trade. The Draxer grew angry. 20 enemy weapons aimed at Arlen's ship. The bridge trembled as a new alarm cried out. Captain. We're targeted by multiple. The rest was drowned by a massive blast slamming into the Valiant. The ship spun. Fire burst across the starboard side. Half the lights went dark. A section of the hull peeled away. Arlen gripped his chair, refusing to fall. Stabilize. Bring us around. We're not done. The HSS Sentinel made its move. With its engines failing, it drifted toward the largest Draxer battleship. The enemy commander laughed across the comms. You cannot harm us, little humans. The Sentinel captain replied in a calm, quiet voice. Watch us. Then he ordered one final command. Detonate the core. The entire ship lit up with blinding blue light. And exploded like a newborn star. The shockwave ripped across space. 3 Draxer ships were torn apart instantly. A 4th lost its main cannon. A 5th was thrown into a spin. 1 human ship destroyed. But more than 4 monsters taken with it. Arlen bowed his head. Sentinel, thank you. Only 2 human ships remain now. The Valiant. And the battered Hammerfall. Both burning. Both barely holding. But both still charging. Arlen whispered to himself. If this is my end, let them remember. He raised his hand. All power to forward cannons. His officer stared. Captain, our cannons will overload. Arlen smiled. A tired, broken human smile. Exactly. The Valiant fired. A massive blue beam, unstable, shaking, too powerful for the damaged core, shot straight into the Draxer formation. It tore through 1 enemy ship. Then another. Then struck the leg of a 3rd. The Valiant crackled, its engine screaming. Alarms blared. Systems failed. Smoke poured through every corridor. But the Valiant kept firing. Arlen held the console tightly, whispering, For humanity, for every world. The beam finally cut off as the core overloaded. The Valiant drifted, dying. But it had opened a path. The Hammerfall saw it. The last human ship. Barely alive. Its captain steadied his hands. All engines on. Straight through the gap. Let's carve our names into their memory. Hammerfall roared forward, slipping through the line Arlen created. It launched its final torpedoes, 3 bright trails in the darkness. They slammed into the heart of the central Draxer command ship. A dark explosion rippled outward. The enemy ship buckled, cracked, burned, and finally shattered. The Draxer howled in shock. No species had ever broken their command ship. Not once. Until humans. The Hammerfall burned next. The engines died. The hull fell apart. And the ship went silent. The battlefield went quiet except for drifting debris. The Draxer still had many ships left. But their advance had stopped. 4 dying human ships. had held an entire armada long enough for the galaxy to prepare. Arlen, still alive on the Valiant's broken bridge, whispered one last message into the void. Relos, run fast. Warn them all. Tell them humans stood. The screen went dark. The human ships finally fell quiet. But their final stand